All right. So my dial-up is working. You guys can hear me, see me, all the good stuff. The other thing that I have to do, I've got the trend matrix up and running that does trend trades. I still have yet to enable my ProMatrix system. So let me get that one enabled. It's going to go on the other screen. Obviously, it takes a few minutes for it to chew up all of the bars worth of data here. So let me just turn that thing on and then we'll play around. So right now, short version is we've run up into a lot of resistance right here, just analysis wise. We're really going to have to break through all of that if we're going to end up seeing trend trades to the long side. This chart's going to freeze while the other chart's running, so it's just going to take a minute as soon as it gets done. One thing I would like to go through as you guys, bear with me. Let me get a user guide up. And, I really want this for those of you guys who, again, I can do a small presentation, but I also want it to be able to be a Q&A session for you guys. There we go. All right. So here's our info. So again, when we're talking about our two trading strategies, there's two basic, two things that we've taught forever. High probability trades where you have trend trade rules. Just to kind of recap the rules, super simple, because I think it's important for those of you guys that don't know the rules to actually hear them one time. It's really pretty easy. Our best trend trades are when we have a good top or bottom and our trigger lines are strong and there's nothing in the way, and then we buy a pullback at areas inside the trigger lines. That's short version. And it looks pretty much like this. I mean, this is what we're looking for. This wide trigger, lots of momentum during that tail. That's where the trend trades actually happen, regardless of the chart size that you're on. And then, when we talk about, resistances and termination conditions, when we have a Fibonacci resistance or divergence from resistance or a pivot stop out, we get a better top. And then we also have the same thing at the bottom where if we hit Fibonacci support, the market reverses. Usually it's a much better bottom, all things considered. So, what we're trying to do, or we're trying to look for, in the short version, I see my system's done running. The one thing that Anyway, I'm not going to go through all of this. You guys are more than welcome to go through all of this. What I want to talk about more is, what is the system doing? Why is it doing it? And basically the logic behind it. So again, you can see we kind of broke out of that resistance spot we talked about, which was great, but not quite enough of a pullback to anything to actually generate a long signal, unfortunately. So that would have been profit target area for us. So we'll see if they want to continue. Are they dropping bombs or something? You can hear me, but it says stream failed. It's still streaming on my side, so just log out and reboot if you have issues. All right, so right now, because we hit Fibonacci resistance over here, and then we had a down bar, this is going to stop us from doing any more long trades at the moment. Not that I can't get through it, but at the moment, we've hit basically what we call termination conditions. A strong enough push to get us to the outer band, and on the left chart, pivot stop outs. So the system is doing exactly what it should be doing, which is blocking the ability to take long trades. As we get into, trend trades are pretty easy. I think most of you guys who've had it have known that. This is where we're going to be doing a lot of our work today. We're going to be talking about the market flow. We're going to be talking about white volume paint bars and how they present opportunities for us. We're also going to talk about market flow signals on a range chart. And, what I've done just to get started, let me get this up and running for you guys over. I'm going to try to go 3 charts on a screen. I know it's a little bit tiny, but I think I think it's important for you guys to be able to see. So we don't really need much of that large chart, so we can kind of squish this one over. There we go. All right, so we now have both systems enabled. So one of them is going to be predicated on, the market flow. And, it's going to do trades that are generated by the market flow system. So it's going to do high volume area longs. It's going to do market flow signal longs. It's basically going to get out whenever there's a termination condition. I know it got really volatile there for a second. So this thing is also very similar to the trend matrix, where, if we get divergence, pivot stop outs, outer bands, it's not going to do any trades. So I don't expect either one of these things to do any trades at the moment, which is probably a good thing as they work out what they're going to do up here. All right. Tracy, can you see the stream after a reboot of Discord? All right. A couple of things that I've done. You can't see it? Huh. Can everybody else see it? I'm just curious. Can you guys see my screens? No, I know you can't. So everybody else can except Tracy. Okay, Tracy, reboot. I don't know what else to say. Everybody else has got it. So anyway, short version. When you're systems trading, there's a lot of waiting. I know with the ProMatrix, there's a lot more action, especially when it's super volatile like this. So you can see, we've had a lot of divergences up here. Obviously, this thing's trying to go long, and we'll see. We may want to tighten up some of these targets in case it doesn't go here. All right. So anyway, that's a good example right there of everything rolling over, and then obviously getting a market flow signal to the upside. I was a little bit tight with it right there. Could have let it go, but what happens is if you get a reversal from 1-to-1s, or you get a reversal from a divergence area, it's going to get you out of your trade. And I've tested this a lot. You want that. And I think that's, I want to go on the record. ProMatrix is version 1. Trend Matrix is version, 8, 9, 10, whatever it is. We've got a lot of versions of that one that we've worked on. And, I think we've done a really good job of making this thing really solid. The ProMatrix, I think it still needs a smidge of work. I see some opportunities. So, one of the things that you guys know, I've got HBNS, which is happy but never satisfied. And I am constantly working on this thing to make it better. And one of the things I did last, which maybe not all of you guys have, but when you're running a filtered template on the systems, I put these 2 buttons in there. And like, for example, let's just say you said, look, I know we're at a fib and the thing is blocked, but I don't care. Just take, if there's a long trade, take it, because I think it's going up for whatever reason, your other analysis on your other charts. So, so if I wanted to take a long signal, I could just ignore the filters. But again, you have to have very specific reasons why. Here's the large chart for the market flow system, the ProMatrix. And you can see we hit a fib, We had a down bar that closed below the fib. So it's not going long, which I think is going to be a great idea. So short wouldn't be bad right there from a high volume area discretionarily, but as far as systematically, none of that's going to happen. So anyway, we hit a fib. The outer band keeps causing trouble. So, short term read will probably go lower. Usually once you have multiple filters at the same place. It's kind of like, for all of you guys that use 3 divergences, number 1, I'm working on coding that. Number 2, if you have multiple divergences in the same area or termination conditions in the same area, it kind of serves the same purpose. And, when you're system trading, you really want everything to be in your direction, and you really want everything to be right. So here is trend matrix again. We'll see how this goes in the volatility here. So again, market flow up, down signal. We get an up bar, and if we get another down bar, it should trail its stop right here. Just a little further. You can see we trailed the stop behind the high. Mid bands usually a tough spot to get through in a nasty uptrend, which we've been. But anyway, everything is still in a downward direction, and you'll see this happen a lot with the system. It'll actually do multiple attempts in the same direction if you get another signal. And again, I think there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, it trailed the stop behind the pivot, and we hit 1-to-1s and made a reversal, so it got out, which I don't think is a real bad out. Is it okay if we just talk about them as they happen? I did turn on every trade, so that way we have a lot to talk about. And I was just going to kind of let it go and see what happens. So again, now you can see we've got the old blue blocker at the bottom. So because we held the 1-to-1s and we haven't got past the 1-to-1s, it's not going short anymore. Tell me what you guys would like to see the most. I mean, obviously system in action is one thing, but what is it that I can give you guys that will be the most helpful for you? That's really what I want to know. Because I can tell you what it's doing all day long. It's not that difficult. Where are you guys stuck? For those of you guys using the strategy, what are the things you guys want to work on? What can I help you with? I actually get a long trade here. Well, this is not the optimized setting, so I wouldn't expect it to be the best performing. Let's see. And I've only got 5,000 bars back, so it's not really a good back test, And I did that just for speed because it takes a long time for that thing to run. So you're only looking at 5,000 bars, and we've had that in the last couple hours probably. Could you go over strategy settings? Sure, absolutely. What did I change the bars under the indicators? I don't understand that one, Pinsky. Did I change the bars under the indicators? I'm not sure what that means. Well, I right clicked, and just the chart data series, it's only got bars. Do you see that? So I'm not looking at days back because it'll take 10 or 15 minutes to run if you put back 5 or 10 days. So I'm just making it very quick to get to the point of actually running. That's what it's doing. So that's on your data series. Right click data series, and you can set it from days to bars, and then and then it runs faster to get started. I may make a version soon that has no historical performance and just runs really fast going forward. I think people will dig that. The other thing, um, so when we go over the strategy settings, where did there we go. So ProMatrix and then entry setups. I mean, so that's not, I mean, obviously which type of trade you do is a setting, David. I mean, you have such an open-ended question there. You know, large chart terminations, higher time frame conditions, small chart conditions, exit logic, trade management logic, session filters. There's a lot of inputs, and everything is extremely well documented. So, do you have any specific questions about specific settings? I guess is a better way to go over it and look at it. Oh, instructions? Oh, that's right. Sorry, I forgot. 90% of men don't ever read the damn directions, and 50% of women day traders don't either, so don't feel bad. Um, so I'll give you the link to that page. The other one that I did, which, for those of you guys who have not seen it, I created a video. That I think you guys should watch. What I do, short version in the video, I take the S&P and I went 21 days back and I ran performance numbers. I put them in Claude and I say, hey, give me the best. Tell me what worked, tell me what didn't, tell me when it worked, tell me when it didn't, kind of thing. And then I put in the Ninja reports and I run the analysis, and then ultimately it'll tell me, time of the day that works better, sessions that don't, et cetera, et cetera. And then you start to kind of tweak the system a little bit to where, you get rid of the Asian session, get rid of the early Euro session. And then as I get through the video, when I started the first back test, it started out negative $7,500. And the second test put in a couple of tweaks. We got to 48. And I think using the same trades and just, ultimately kind of optimizing a little bit some of the settings. I don't know if I can get to the last. So ultimately, you can see in test 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this video is a really good way. And, the profit was 7,500 to start. Well, I've used both a lot, Peter, and I used ChatGPT first, and it was okay, but Claude really understands things better, in my opinion, from the trading perspective. There's a lot of trading stuff in Claude, and it understands, payoff ratios, drawdown recovery. It understands, win-loss ratios, Sharpe ratios. I mean, it understands all that stuff, and it knows it already. So all you have to do is supply it with the info. Anyway, short version, ran the first test, which is what you guys will do when you first get the system, and you're going to go, that is shit. Why the fuck would I pay for any of that? Because it sucks. And I understand that. Because that's what it looks like. 27K drawdown, lost $8,000. Who the hell wants to buy something like that? Well, when you get to this, trading a few S&P contracts and you get over to the right side and you're like, okay, now I'm making $32,000 with a 2.77 profit factor and a $4,600 drawdown. I think that was on 5 S&Ps. So you can scale that back. But, with a win rate of 72%, now you've got something that's robust anyway, robust enough to at least go back and start testing and doing more testing with it. And if we could get a little retracement, we should get some shorts. All right. So anyway, short version is, I think Claude is better suited personally for doing some analysis for us. Give me a picture of what you see, Taz. I have no freaking clue. Adriana, I have a question. If you're running both programs, so if one gets a trade, the other one as well. Yeah, well, I'm on sim and sim on both. So technically, this one can do a trade, and then this one can do a trade, and technically they could be in opposite directions, which is a no-no. You can't really go long one and short the other. So you're going to have to maybe adjust your time frame so they don't go in different directions. If I used the 8913 small triggers over here as the filter, they would never trade in different directions, Adriana. So hopefully that makes sense. So this one has a 55.8 big chart. At least that's what I tested it out with. And you can see, on a 55.8, we hit Huh, that's interesting. I didn't expect that to happen. That may or may not work. Um, That's interesting. It looks like it read a real-time trigger change, which didn't actually happen. This is one, this is, so Adriana, do you understand what I'm saying? They can both do trades, and because they have different large chart settings, they could technically both do trades in opposite directions. So you have to be cautious of that. So on the ProMatrix chart, I've got the 55.8, and then on the trend matrix chart, I'm using an 89. So if you use the same chart, big chart, you wouldn't get trades in opposite directions. Hopefully that was clear enough. Hopefully I answered your question. And then Taz, you're going to give me a picture. Peter, we talked about Claude. It's way better in your opinion. Yeah. So that's exactly what I have come up with. Tails are confusing me. I've got a good top, strong momentum, clear path, all figures through an area on the 15-2. Do I have to wait for a tail? You don't have to do anything, Mark. Trading is one of the wonderful things in life where you could do whatever the hell you want to do. The question is, why are you going to do it? Do you have to wait for a tail? No. So I'll just pull up a chart. If you say to yourself, I got FOMO and I'm just going to jump in because I get something to happen on a chart, you can just jump in. Right? You can jump in right there with everything going up if you really want to. You can jump in with everything going down if you want to. What typically happens when you get that tail mark, and the reason that we've done this for 20 something years now with tails, is at this spot where there's a tail, it gives you the pullback to lessen your risk and increase your profit potential. So, at that tail, you're basically risking a lot less to make more. So it really skews your win-loss percentage. If you just jump in on the way up, it's not going to kill you as long as it keeps going up. So if you have a good enough read on your indicators and you say, hey, I'm just jumping in, we have clients that do that, cool. We'll see how consistent you can be with that. But as far as the trend trade itself goes, we want a good top, we want strong triggers, and then we want, obviously, the setup that we want. And you can see we kind of did battle with support, and then now we're doing battle with a lot of one-to-ones, and then we'll see if we just break on through everything. Were they dropping bombs again yesterday? I'm just curious. You got a great idea? Yeah, I've had like a trillion great ideas. And here's the thing, Mark, you have to be careful. Day traders have what's called selective hindsight 2020 vision, where you see everything that you wish you saw, and I even added a new signal based on what I saw, and it's actually not a bad signal, but I added in a termination from the synthetic trigger lines as a trade setup. And it's been pretty good. So, these things that we see, just make sure you really spend a lot of time testing it and don't go off and bet a whole trading account on a new idea until you've done 1,000 trades with it. Yeah, absolutely, Adrian. You can run two at the same time, no problem. I mean, assuming you have enough computer to handle that, but yeah, you should be able to, no problem. There's no requirement. So, like, if I built a second sim account or I was trading my live account um, on Ninja, if I had sim on one, live on the other, or live and sub account, or sim and second sim account, then they wouldn't crisscross each other. You wouldn't have that hedging issue. Sure thing, Kevin. That's easy to do. Knock that out. I've got some changes that I'm working on. I was up at like 6 o'clock this morning, believe it or not, and I added in a condition for the trend matrix, which isn't freaking working yet, but um, just so you guys know, um, I'll give you guys a couple pictures of what I'm working on, just so you can kind of see it. Um, and I'll open this up. So one of the things that I didn't bring over from the original system was divergence. And there's two reasons why. Because number one, I didn't like it the way it was. So, divergence is a great thing unless the trigger lines are wrong. So what I'm doing is I'm refining the divergence condition on the trend matrix to make sure that the triggers are on the right side in order to actually even pick it up. And if they're not, don't. And then the other side of it is the pivot stop outs. Obviously, we got to have those as a divergence. So I'm working on that. Hopefully, I'll have that done moderately shortly. But you can go back on a chart and just look at the condition. Whenever you have divergence like this, and the small triggers are physically below the large triggers, it's going lower. Short version. So, discretionary trading, we'd be selling the shit out of that and that right there, and probably one more time right there, if not just add-ons. Because once you get, a good divergence and you're breaking through a fib, the discretionary trading is, obviously good. And then, now obviously we made a bottom, no divergence involved, but obviously headed short term back to the upside. Anyway, long story short, oh man, let's see what happened here. Looks like we got a strong signal. It's so volatile. I'm not sure we're gonna get away with that. I've seen this happen a lot. I don't know how to circumvent it yet. Maybe a bigger stop, but a lot of winning trades get barely bumped out and then they keep going. And the more you see that, the more you're like, damn it, my stop was just too tight. And as you guys go through, oh man, I hope I just didn't crash my Ninja Trader. Shit. Damn it. I did. I love Ninja Trader. Short version, look, I made a little cleanup script. I run it every time I restart, so it cleans out the cache and everything else. If you guys don't have it, I'll send it to you here real quick. Give me a minute. I'm going to reboot everything again, and I'll be right back. Okay. Would you like me to keep you company while I'm rebooting Ninja? I'll say soothing, fun things to you. The 8934 template, Gene. Hey, Gene, while you're here, I do want to say I'm trying again to fix this synthetic trigger line drift. It's not really used much in the ProMatrix anyway, but it's more of a visual than it is technically a rule. There is one little rule that you can use with it above or below, but I'm working on that drift. It's one of the things when NinjaTrader builds a second chart and it's in the background and it's built on tick by tick. Because the synthetic Renko bars are created, kind of with the fake open and, just so they're pretty. The real time tick by tick engine is sometimes loses it. And when it loses it, obviously it makes it very difficult. It just goes off the screen. So I'm working on circumventing that. And I don't understand the difference. I mean, I think it's just because we're in the trend matrix, we're not using tick replay. And that's where the issue is coming from. I'm trying to circumvent it. Because we don't use tick replay, God bless it. Fuck. Because we don't use tick replay here, this is why the synthetic triggers never, ever, ever, ever go bad. So it's a function of NinjaTrader's tick replay that's causing it, and I'm trying to write code around it, and it's really been a pain in the ass. At least for the market flow system, the ProMatrix side of it. When you run both together, ProMatrix doesn't drift. Yeah, I haven't drifted. I actually drifted earlier, but I was only running one, not both. So that's interesting. They have nothing to do with each other, Gene. They don't cross streams. They don't cross paths. They don't do anything together. So it's pure dumb luck on that time that Ninja didn't lose some of its data on tick replay. It's just a dumb luck good thing that happened. It wasn't because of you're running two of them at the same time. I just loaded up my 34 and my market flow wasn't plotting, so I had to F5 it real quick. I seem to have days on my range chart, not bars. You do have days. It depends on what you want. Do you want it to be 3 days back? If you do, then you've got the right setting. If you don't want it to be 3 days back, there's a little arrow over here on the right side. Let me make it so I can. I'll make a picture. So all you do is click this little arrow right there and change it to bars, and then you can go like 5,000 bars if you want to load less data. So it doesn't take half an hour to load depending on your computer. So do you have to change it? No. I really think my next version is going to have a version that has no history. So that way it just comes up and runs and goes forward real time and doesn't take the time to do all this historical stuff. Let me turn on this strategy too, sorry. I'll get my screen back. correct here. Turn that on. And 3 days in the ProMatrix takes no time, or Trend Matrix. And the reason why is because there's no tick replay. Tick replay is a very, very, very expensive thing. Okay, so apparently while it was running, there was a short trade that shouldn't have happened. And then there was a long trade that didn't happen because it was still coming up. So, blah, we'll work on that. Like I said, guys, version 1. This is why I need more. There's only so much I can do in one day. I need more eyes on this thing. So if you guys see things that look off or are a little bit off, I am 100% fast to fix them. Turn that strategy on. And all right. Now, fingers crossed, we don't have any crazy Ninja Trader hiccups again. I wouldn't even do anything. It just straight out. Didn't like it. All right, I'm expecting a long trade over here if we get an up bar. If we get an up bar. And there's a long trade, as expected. And, looking at my other big charts, I like the long with that look. I like the long with that look. I like the long with that look. So whether it wins or not, that's a whole nother story. But all 4 charts, technical analysis agrees that we should be going up. So that's something. It is the NASDAQ, so they could drop a bomb and it's over in a heartbeat. All right. Now that we're back in business, questions. Adriana, do you see this? How it's on Sim and it just plotted on both charts? It's not really on that chart. It's just from this chart. And now we had, our trailing stop came up behind the low pivot, and we've got target 1 and we got target 2. So anyway, not a bad trade. I like this trade. Obviously, every one of these charts was going up. From a discretionary standpoint, you don't want to miss that trade, obviously. And then now we've hit a pivot stop out on that chart. We've got an outer band over here. So we're going to have to break through the outer band and through some trouble in order to get more long trades on the ProMatrix here. Does everybody understand that trade? I mean, that trade is right out of, our market flow analysis section. Just want you to know why it happened, I guess, is more than anything else. So here's the rule for it. When there's a white paint bar down, followed by a reversal bar to the upside, it generates a signal. I mean, it's just, and when the triggers are going in your favor, it really is beneficial. So that's all it was here. White paint bar down, reversal bar, continuation to the upside. Looks like they're going to keep going a little bit. Anyway, we hit the targets that we set out for it. Is there a little more in there to be had? Looks like it. There is always more to be had. It's not a question of what you could have had. It's a question of what you get, right? When you're day trading, it's not what you could have had. It's what you actually get. Can you set session filters to span midnight? Yeah, you should be able to, Steve. Let me know if it doesn't work for any reason and we'll look at it. Here's the interesting thing. I don't have the signals outside the outer bands turned on. So because we're outside the outer bands, even though it generated a long signal, it's not going to take it. You want to know what's also interesting? Do you see this number right here? I added this recently, and it's minimum ticks to the next target. So what it's looking at is how many ticks are there to the next line, Fibonacci line in this case. You can see there's 241 ticks to it, which is pretty good. Anyway, even a short signal will tell you how, every time there's a signal, it'll tell you how many ticks to the next line or the outer band or one-to-ones or fibs. I went and tried to add the damn same thing to here, and technically I think it works, but it's not plotting the number. So it's something I got to fix on the trend matrix for all you trend matrix folks. All right. I don't have enough screen real estate. And, again, look, this is another situation where we had an outer band on a big chart on the trend trade system, and it generated a trade, an entry from the 1-to-1 level, but it didn't take it because there was a block in place. So had you have put ignore filters, it would have went long. But you better have a damn good reason why you're ignoring filters. You know what, David? You are the first person in 30 years I've ever heard say that. You know why that is, right? And you know what the fix is. Mark Douglas videos. You should watch every Mark Douglas video that's ever been done, because something is causing you to do in real time what you're not doing in sim. You're either not following the same rules or whatever the case. We may actually get a long trade here on the trend trade system finally, if it stops and turns here. If we make an up bar from the mid band and there's no blocks in place anymore. So, because we broke through the outer band and I don't have a small pivot stop out block. So we have the potential. I should have my reversal bar marker on there so we know where it would happen. Makes it easier. On these two charts, guys, there's two reversal bar markers. The first one is where you're going to make a new Renko up bar. That one's pretty easy. The one on the range chart is called next range bar. And this was open sourced a long time ago from somebody. I don't even know who wrote it, to be honest. But what it does, just to kind of give you a visual here, especially when you're starting to wait for signals or stops or things like that to happen, what happens is it builds a big box of all of the potential range. So in this case, it's 34 ticks. So when a new bar happens, this box will be 34 ticks above and below the open. And then as the bar expands, that box shrinks until you get 34 ticks in the other direction, or one direction or the other. So if you're at a mid band and you're thinking, okay, we're going to get a long, or you're at a 1-to-1 or a pivot stop out, you think you're going to get a long, you'll know where it's going to happen, because if it was going to go long on an up bar, you could just see right where the up bar is going to happen. Anyway, you guys all have that indicator. We have our indicators. It's called next range bar. Hopefully you guys use that one. And looks like we are not going long on the trend trade chart. Now everything has started to clear out to the downside. I'm assuming this 1-to-1 doesn't throw up a block on us, which it just did. Now, if I was really saying, okay, I want to go short anyway, regardless, I could ignore the filter. And then if it gave a short signal, it would actually take it for me. I don't want to ignore trading into a 1-to-1. But if I did, all I got to do is push the button. Watch. I'll do it one time just for fun. Well, there was no signal. Anyway, if there was a white paint bar up and a down signal, it would have taken one, but there wasn't one, so I'll ignore it. I won't ignore my filters. Crypto farmer. Hi, how do I load the trend trader on my 34 chart? There's directions again. I know nobody wants to read directions, but just so you know where they are. Okay, crypto, hang on. Trend matrix. And then you come over here on the right side and say adding the strategy to your chart. So I'm going to give you a reply with that. So build your chart. Anyway, maybe I need some pictures in there, right? So look, just right click on your chart and go to strategies, and then double click the trend matrix, and then load a template for whatever chart size you're using, and then enable it and say okay. But there is directions. Maybe I needed pictures. I don't know. So you got that? Crypto farmer, right click on your chart, go to strategies, double click it, apply a template, and you're off to the races. Well, that was quick. Looks like it submitted a short order, but it didn't have a stop in place, so it flattens itself instantly. So it looks like a break even. I did write that protection mechanism in there because range bars is, even a 34 range bar was almost insanely big a year or two ago. So there's a mid-band trade. And, again, we'll see if the 1-to-1 holds, it's going to get itself out. So again, very much a break even. Usually the white paint bar stops out everybody, and then they make another arrow down, and I anticipate it'll go short again. Well, it won't because it's blocked now, but if I wanted to ignore the filters, let's try that one time. You ready? It may lose since we're trading against filters, but I just wanted to give you guys a visual on what it looks like. So you see what I did? That we had a 1-to-1 that said don't go short. And old Novak said, yeah, I want to go short anyway, even though the 1-to-1 says don't do it. So I just turned off ignore the filters. It generated a signal. Here we are. We'll see what happens. And again, before it would generate another signal, we would have had to break through this 1-to-1. So you have to kind of look at your other charts and go, look, I'm at a mid-band on the big one. I got down over here. This is the chart for the ProMatrix. And see, it did the same thing it did last time. 1-to-1s and a close back above. So it said, just get out again. And usually this is where, again, they're just kind of doing battle against these 1-to-1s and no damage done, but we're not making the money that we want to make with kind of a down look. So anyway, now they've broken through the 1-to-1s, which means if it pulls back again and gives a signal, it'll actually keep it this time. We'll see what happens. Yeah. So that's the same 1-to-1 helping the short. How it was hurting the short over here, now it's helping the short. I don't know if we're actually going to get a short or not, but Raj, and you need to run the update from the website. Or here, let me make your life easy. Are you ready? Just go and import this one. It'll have it. Gene, do you have that one as well? This version, allow any trade and ignore filters. Just curious. When you say that mid-band trade is like my question above, let me look at your question above. Confirmation bar, music market order. So if it's limit order, I understand, but we still require rejection confirmation. Gene, I understand what you're saying. Um, you know, one of the, just looking at your picture here, we've taught this rule. I'm going to go back in time because I love going back in time. But bear with me 2 seconds while I find a picture. So from the year 2004 or 2003, it's always been one of our rules to close above a trigger in order, because if you don't close above the trigger, Gene, you get run over a hell of a lot more than you don't. That's not going to work. So the rule is you have to close beyond at least the faster trigger, which is the same thing Mark teaches, which is the same thing we've taught since 2002 or 3. I don't even remember when we started that exact rule, but it's worked for this many years. And it's here's my picture from this 2004. But it was kind of the same thing. Again, from a discretionary standpoint, if you just sold the mid band, you're talking about over here. This is 2004, by the way. But waiting for that close below the triggers gives you the opportunity for it to actually hold and go. We have found that when you don't get in, or you try to get in too quickly before the triggers, it's a disaster. And you don't see how many get run over. You only see the ones that you wish you had. The hindsight 2020. Let me take a look at. Let me look. David, let's see what you got. Huh. Oh, well, okay, David, that's an easy one. Did you have tick replay enabled on your chart? I bet you didn't. So you have to have it on the chart, and you have to have it in the input for the strategy if you want tick replay for backtesting. Market flow is a lot of it, Rocco. So it does a lot of the market flow trades, white paint bar trades, arrows with strong triggers, arrows with not quite strong triggers. And it also still does some fib trades and some other trades. So we've got quite a few trades in this strategy. So here, just to read them off to you. Strong trigger arrows, assertive entries, any arrows, beyond the band arrows. Then we have entries off of fib levels, entries off of the mid band, terminations at synthetic triggers for a trade. I just wrote that one late last week. And the cool thing is you can hover over them and see what the rules are. And then a divergence pivot stop out entry, which we all love sometimes. And then the white paint bar trade and the HVA trade. So there's like 9 trades in there now. The idea is that if the conditions are right, it doesn't really matter which signal you get. You just want to take whichever signal is available. That was the idea behind it anyway. Pretty darn good. Do me a favor to get an accurate statement of that. And I know you're not going to do it now, but watch that video right there. Save it off. Because backtesting turns out really well, but there's 2 things you have to be concerned with. Number 1, over optimizing or curve fitting for a particular data set, which I talk about a lot in here. I heard a signal. Let's see what happens. This is one where I would probably move my stop just above the 1-to-1. It may cost me a few extra bucks, but I personally would get it out of the way. If they come get me, so be it. That's just me, but I don't want to get stopped out one tick before a 1-to-1. It's just not my favorite. Not my favorite thing. It's like you can have those couple extra micro points, and of course they came and took them. So they should go down now for sure. This would be a discretionary trade for me. I've seen that trick more than once where they'll, and if I lose again, then so be it. That one's on me. But yep, they may not go. All right, I won't do any discretionaries. Anyway, short version, if I would have had my stop below here, it would have got me stopped out earlier, and then it would have went short again. So it's kind of 6 1/2 dozen or the other there. Market just wants to make a little more retracement. Gene, I stopped using ChatGPT for system testing, and I use Claude. And I've got the 100% fully jacked as much as you can possibly pay for Claude. It's not necessary though for what we're doing as far as system testing. All right, if you can't go short, go long. Let's see what happens there. Again, for me, getting to a double mid band, I get a little more sensitive with the stop. Obviously didn't need to be in that situation, but anyway, so we had a short losing trade. Now we're in a long trade. How far will it go? Do we want to try to stretch it out and make more money out of it and see what happens? I'm going to move it out of the way just so we can see the trailing stop mechanism working. So every time we get a new up bar, especially with strong triggers going, we get stopped out break even plus. Anyway, I would definitely use Claude. I think you will find it to be far superior. So David, if you right click on your chart and go to data series, you don't have tick replay on your chart. There's no box for it right there. Do you ever use it? If you've never really used it, you need to go into, oh man, it's been a minute. I think you have to go into tools and settings and then market data. And you have to show the tick replay. I'm going to give you a picture of this just so you have it. So tools, settings, market data, show tick replay. That'll get you straight. And it'll show up on your chart. All right, so looks like, obviously we made a little money on that one. They have gone down a little further, bounced off of the 1-to-1s and everything else. So now we need some kind of long signal to take us to the upside. So, what's going to be a long signal? Maybe the high volume line, maybe a white paint bar down up with the market flow signal. So, and if we get an up bar here, I would expect a signal long, which we got. Now we'll see if they have any follow through in them or if they're just going to be mean about it. It's just a little tight. This is one where they get stopped out and they're going to go anyway. Usually I'll put my stop down below the high volume line right there just to give it a little bit of breathing room instead of just below a pivot. Anyway, there's your mid band, close above your smaller triggers, Gene. Maybe I could make that, Gene, while I'm looking at it, above either or trigger instead of just the faster trigger. This is a case where it would have went long after the first bar, not the second bar. I'll make a note of that. This thing's just kind of struggling around here, and yeah, either or. Notes. I'm making notes. But look, I want you guys to understand something. With 20,000 lines of code and a lot of rules, I think I got most of it right, but I honestly have enough humility to say that I know it's not perfect and it could be better. So, I count on you guys who've had our software for a long time to say, what about this? What about that? This is another case where look at that. Below the high volume area for me, and then if it makes another up bar, it'll trail a stop. We'll see if that actually helped getting below the high volume area or if it hurt me. Looks like it helped. And it looks like it added on to the position. I actually wrote that in there where the system will add on to a position if you get another signal and you're in a profitable signal. It doesn't mean you're going to make more money, but it does mean that it will do another trade. Yeah, it's NASDAQ. It grinds a little bit, doesn't it? All right, Taz, you're stepping away. One last question for the day. David, I don't believe that for half a freaking second. For the T3 ProMatrix testing I did this weekend, my playback did not come close to performance. All right, well, that was a better run right there. And I'm not mad that it's out. Obviously, when the add-ons, they use the original target, so they don't. Anyway, maybe a little more meat on that bone, but I'm okay with that. ProMatrix testing, playback. Well, you have to understand the nature of what it's doing. Not a lot of trades on this setup today. Oh, do I even have my text markers on? Not a lot of trade setups on this one today, but there's I'm suspicious. Anyway, whenever you have the ProMatrix, I want you to think about this for a second, okay? So let's say hypothetically it should go short right here. So I'm just spreading out a spot. Okay, so this is what's happening, and you have to really, really take this into consideration. So let's just say from this spot it goes short after a down bar. Okay, now historically, in the way that dynamic Renko bars are written, I guess it went long again. I was going to say that's not going to work. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. So what happens is dynamic Renko bars have an open right here when technically the price open is down here. So what happens is on every market order, you're getting this many ticks extra added in profit for free. Does that make sense? So you have to take that with a bit of a grain of salt. A big fat grain of salt, because the system doesn't make $12 million and do 90% winners. Also, if you have a termination condition exit where, let's just say you were long and it says, we had a 1-to-1 and closed below it, get out. Well, historically, it's going to get you out at the open of the bar, which is the high point of the last bar. But in the real world, you're getting out down there. So again, you got half of a 34.5 range bar, so you got 30 ticks extra profit added to the historical performance that you don't have in the real world. No. You can use limit orders with a 0 tick offset, and then it'll put you in at the bottom of the bar historically. Rain. That's about the best you can do to circumvent some of it. Limit order with 0 ticks, pullback. All right. Let's get rid of this trend matrix off the screen here for a second. Dang, damn it. All right. I'm just going to have the ProMatrix on here for now. Again, this is another one where it's like, we had divergence on the big chart with a pivot stop out, which for us is freaking fantastic. And we pulled back to the mid band. We got our signal. We got everything on God's green earth we wanted. And they just barely dinked it out. So again, look. No, not really, David. The bar structure is still created the same way. So no, it doesn't help with it. Yeah, it's okay. So anyway, I don't like this one, but I don't have any large chart filters on here. So I didn't know we hit a fib on the big chart. That's why it took that long loss. I turned those filters off. Long on the way up to Fibonacci resistance works really well, as you can see. And then longs after Fibonacci resistance on the big chart didn't work out so well. So I'm not really surprised about that, but I don't have that filter on. Is it better to use the filter or not? I don't know. If it was discretionary trading, then I would have probably turned it off once we got to this mess over here on the big chart. I'm just kind of letting it run so we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Win, lose, or draw, whatever it does. And I love that trade. I mean, if I was in a discretionary standpoint coming off of that high and everything else, I'd be like, yay, going short. We're going to make money at least down to here. Like 80% of the time. Just didn't happen that time. Which means 20% of the time it's not. All right. Crypto farmer, when you say it, when I load it and it does not appear, what is it? I don't know what my mind reading stopped at like 47. It's been 10 years since I've been able to read minds. Well, okay. My wife just corrected me. You can't just say T3. You talking about the indicators or the strategy, or there's a lot of T3s. I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing here. The trend trade strategy. Okay. When you say it doesn't show up, so if you right click on your chart, let me turn mine off and then we'll do the same thing. Okay. So I'm going to turn mine off. So you've done this, right? Crypto farmer, you've put your trend matrix down there. You've selected a template that you want to trade. You hit load, and then you hit enabled, and then you hit OK. I haven't tried to go back that far. Yes, Taz, 100%. And, look, I'm not done. This is version 1, 1.1, 1.2. So there's more work to be done. Hey, I'm so sorry. Kinetic. All right, so here's the thing. You've done that? When in doubt, reboot. I don't know what to say. After a reboot, if it doesn't work, then obviously. Um, I was really interested to see if we were going to get some kind of short signal over here, but they've done battle, just with this chart. Obviously, you can see the line in the sand here, right? I mean, that's our resistance. If all goes well, we're going to make it down to this support. I don't know if we will or we won't or what, but usually when support holds, you make it to a resistance. So support holds, you make it to resistance. It breaks. Support holds, you make it to resistance. And then support breaks, you make it to resistance. And then ultimately, usually you make it to support unless resistance breaks. So we shall see. And hitting a pivot stop out in resistance, I am not going to be doing any long trades. Watch, it'll probably go up 5,000 points. Even without it, again, just this is me and obviously the things we teach, but we already have a block in place, so I don't have to worry about it. So we have a divergence pivot stop out block that's keeping us from going long, but it also is coupled with fibs and pivot stop outs over here. And, again, this is where they have to really make that big decision in the market. Are we going up? Or are we going to come back down again and mess with everybody? Yeah, no, they don't, Greg. I'm working on that and also a new divergence on that thing. A more conditional based divergence. So pivot stop outs number one, but not every divergence is going to be qualifying for the divergence. Let me just show you a picture because I started this morning. So hang tight. I'll have that divergence stuff done. But short version is when you have divergence and both triggers are already below. Let's see what happened. Man, I don't like that trade. I don't like it because we just came off of resistance. If I didn't like it, I could just hit soft close and be done with it. But I'm going to just let it go. We'll see if it at least maybe gets back up to the high up here. I don't think it's going to, coming off of resistance, but again, try not to over. Okay. Dave, are you in here? Dave L. This is the one in it that you had. I've been waiting to see it live. Let me take a picture of that. It actually is going to work out really well, but I don't know why the hell it exited there, to be honest. It looks genius, but like I said, version 1, guys. So a little bit of love on me. There's a couple of small little things that still need to be fixed. And I've had no less than several emails. Let's just call them several. What's the best setting, John? I don't know the answer to that question. And Dave, you can do 90 days of back testing. It's going to take a long freaking time for that to pop out. So, all right. I wonder how far this one will go. If we close back above a divergence pivot stop out, it's going to get us out. So we should be in a spot where we shouldn't lose any money on this short. And then ultimately, if it goes down, that's a little better. Nice short. And you can see on your big chart, you got a lot of crap over here. I'll move it out of the way because I want you to see some of the dynamic stuff it does. Either trailing stops or pivots. I mean, I wouldn't lose all of that money, but if we get a reversal from the outer bands, it's going to get you out. If it doesn't give a reversal from the outer bands, it'll keep you in. And again, that's just one of the dynamic things that it does. So we had an outer band and a 1-to-1 and a close above them. So it took us out of our position, which I think is pretty neat. And now we've also got blocks in place, outer bands and 1-to-1s. It's not going to try to trade until it actually breaks through those things. So it shouldn't do another short trade here. I'm wondering, Dave, if that's, the problem is when you do strategy analyzer, I don't know. I haven't compared the two, to be honest. I need to make a more, it's hard because when it's running the historical to get all the information, I mean, it's basically doing all of this stuff, every order, every update, every reason why. I mean, there's a million. I mean, I know just on 21 days on the S&P, it was like 97,000 lines of things. Which I don't care. They could read a million for all I care. It doesn't make a big difference to me. Anyway, short version is, lost my train of thought. Short version is, I have yet to it's trading into a lot of 1-to-1s. I need to take a picture of that too. Oh, I have ignore filters on. No shit. Okay. I was like, why the hell did it go short when I had filters on and I had the button pushed? My bad. Anyway, we're at a good spot for it to still go down, but it's kind of chopping around here a little bit. Like I said, coming off of this resistance, my first thought is we're going to make it down to 45, which is where our fib support is. So from a discretionary basis, short at resistance is a good idea. And then obviously 1-to-1s are first target area, but I wouldn't be surprised if we continue the move down and get down to a fib down here at 45. Now the question is, are we going to get another signal? That was a white paint bar down signal, which sometimes is a very good way to get back into a position when the triggers are going down, but we're going to wait for these block filters to get out of our way first. Yeah, so, now that we're far enough, here's what I would like to do, Dave. And, again, this is get it running and pray it keeps running and, but go get 90 days worth of the June contract downloaded. So, have the June contract be your test contract and then go forward on the September contract. I think that's the smartest choice. It's a lot of work. And it just takes a lot of time. But, I guess everything worthwhile does take some time and effort, doesn't it? And look, there are some of you guys that are more apt to have the tech savvy to get this done. And then for those of you guys that are not, you just have to kind of sit around and hang out until we actually get different setting options for you guys. I personally like to do the discretionary and just allow it to do what it does. Take any trade as long as the large chart really agrees. Just a way to look at it. Now look, we've gotten rid of the filters, so that's a good thing. Now it's a function of, are we going to get another signal to the short side? So a white paint bar up, down bar should be a signal. So there's our signal. And, again, do we want to take some money at 1-to-1s and pivot stop outs, or do we want to try to get down to the fib? So if it gets to a pivot stop out or a 1-to-1 and it doesn't actually keep going, it'll get us out. So you're not going to lose a whole lot for trying to go for all the money. Because if it just rips on through, it's not going to get you out anyway. You see what I'm saying there? That's a good question. Probably the any arrow and strong trigger arrow. I mean, you got to have that one. There's. All right. Well, we got to the outer band and it made a reversal, so it said enough is enough. It's going to keep going down to the fib. We all know that, right? Those of us that know. Anyway, we'll see how deep the retracement is back up to the probably 70 area. And anyway, I will ignore my filters. If it makes a white paint bar up into a 1-to-1 and makes a bar down, well, didn't quite go that far. Man, it's like, it went pulled right back to the high volume area and then straight down. From a discretionary standpoint, it's like, so Mortimer, so. Anyway, is it good to kind of see this thing playing out live for you guys? Hopefully. You know, I know there's some good ones and some bad ones, and there's probably some that we could have avoided, not trading into resistance and stuff. But I want you guys to see more signals so that way you guys. All right, another short signal. I'll put stop a couple of ticks above. Let's see what happens here. All right, so what's our fib, did I say? 45-ish, 46. So somewhere between that area, assuming that this divergence pivot stop out doesn't reverse the market. As I said, we probably are going to make it down to 45, give or take a point. You know what I should do is don't take an exit button. Any or strong arrows are probably the top two strongest. You're short from 87? Well, that's why you're a bad bitch. John! John! God. Sorry. Did I say that out loud? That was your speaking voice. So anyway, like I said, I hate that it's taking that exit because now it's just going to go and run down there. But what are the pink and green lines? Pink and green lines. Emerald. I'm going to go back to the user guide for you. Poo. That was an HVA signal. Didn't go. Let's get into it and see what happens. See if we get our money. I don't know why I didn't take it. Ooh, that's close. All right. Emerald, sorry, I lost my focus there for a second with the crazy market. Hey, as advertised, guys, fib support, make it to resistance. Fib resistance tested 4 or 5 times, makes it to support. You could almost make a living on that, right? Let me pull up the. That's not the right one. That was my Mark Douglas page. Hang on. So this is the page that you need to go study, Emerald. Dave, we got rid of that button. So it wasn't very good. So we got rid of it. The only reason it didn't go is because I have a 1 bar cooldown between trades. So it can't take a trade immediately after it exits another one. So that's why I did it manually. All right, I guess my wife is out right here and she's done for now. Cool. You know, I like it when the wife is making money day trading. You guys have got to get one of those. I'm just going to throw it out there. Anyway, Emerald, I'll answer your question. I just wanted to watch that for a second. Short version is, it's in here. The green line is when you have a white paint bar, which is a volume breakout. Let's see what that does. If the outer band holds, it's going to get out quick. So it's going to have to break the outer band and really get a boogie on. That's the one thing about such volatility in the NASDAQ. Even a 34 range chart is pretty whippy, pretty quick. So anyway, we'll see if this fails at the outer band or if it keeps going. Looks like we have room if it does keep going, so we'll see. So anyway, Emerald, volume analysis, market flow. Whenever there's a white paint bar down followed by a down close, it gives a magenta line, which is usually a good resistance. And then ultimately, vice versa, it'll give a green line, which is usually a pretty good support if you're coming off of Fibonacci support or resistance or a good top or bottom. And you can see we've hit our trailing stop here. So, you know, basically after the down bar, it trailed the stop a couple of ticks above it. So we've got very little risk, 2 points risk on this. So anyway, this is kind of an arbitrary first target. There's nothing in the way. The realistic target for all of them is down here, but I'll let it, if it does get that, we'll take that first money and let it marinate and see if we get down to the fib, the next fib. All right, what do you guys think? Pretty cool. Still version 1, so, you know, I don't want to over disclaim it or anything, but, you know, I'm really excited about it. There's a lot of potential in this. Obviously, we've taught trend trades and market flow for freaking ever, so it's not a new concept for any of us. It's just kind of working through some of the technical issues and small particulars, like Gene with the trend trade and the mid band having any trigger close above instead of the fast one. And then Dave, your divergence exit, we got to figure out what the hell, why is it doing that? Let's see if we have enough room in here. We need a down bar if it's going to go down anymore. Once you start getting back inside the outer band, they usually put in a deeper retracement. Yep. You know, I found another one too. No, Gene, I have all the signals running. Yes, I know. If you move an order manually, I've got a fix for that. I haven't put it in yet. So that way it'll cancel any order whatsoever. Because when you start moving them, then technically they're not system orders anymore. They're your orders, but it should still clear it out. The soft close is the best way to get rid of that, by the way, just in case. I'm not going to ignore filters anymore. No, Taz, it's not. If you don't want it, don't get it. It's okay. You know, just know that, you know, there's small little things that still need to be made better, and they're going to be made better. So, I think now as is, it's the best one we've done. I love the trend matrix, but I've always been, you guys know me that know me, more of a action junkie, and the market flow system definitely scratches that itch to keep you busy during the day. And there is our fib. We said we were going to make it down 2, and they stopped us out by 3-4 ticks and then dropped. Again, good discretionary trade. I probably would have taken it, but anyway, no big deal. So we made it to the fib. We went a little past it. We'll have to see if they want to keep going or not. Yes, I have all the signals running, Gene. I mean, I'm watching it, so if there's something really crazy like support holding, I'm not going to let it go short anymore. So like right now, support's holding. I'm going to guess that we're not going to get any more short trades. So divergence plus the fib. You see how it's labeled fib here now? So it recognized, we actually closed back above that fib right there. And I don't know about you guys, but I love these little labels so you know what it's thinking. I really wanted it to kind of be intuitive and go, oh, there's a fib there. That's why it's not going to go short anymore. So it says it down here, but I really like the labels on the chart. You don't have to plot the labels, by the way, if you don't want to, but I really find them very, very helpful. When did you load that? Because you didn't download that from the website today. Pretty sure. I'd be surprised because there's different templates in there now. Hang on. I'll tell you what templates are in the installer online, just so you know. Hang on. These are all the files that go into the installer. So templates, strategy, ProMatrix. This is basically what's in there to start off with. So if you don't have this, you don't have the current version of the download from the website. And I've made a wide open test template. Here, I'll just give it to you. You can start with that. And then this GPT tested one, I actually took it, made it a 5 lot, and then turned on the other signals, so it's not really the same. Really? No. All right, I see where the breakdown is here. Bear with me. Let me show you something. On the support page, Taz, right here, the current installers are right here. So you have to download this one and run it to get current templates and things of that nature. Did you do that, or did you just import what I sent you? I'm assuming that you guys know to run this, but that's probably my poor assumption. Okay, so let's talk about this bad boy. We hit our fibs, we had divergence, we had a market flow signal. Man, it just doesn't have enough room. This is one where fibs in high volume areas, for me, I'd probably put my stop behind it because we've made a pretty good bottom, but I'm not going to do it on this run. But it's like, it's the right idea. It has the right idea most of the time. Sometimes they stop them out and then go again, which is frustrating because they're probably going up to here. And we had it nailed. Just not going to get paid for it this time, it looks like. We'll see if they go down. Maybe they'll go down here. And this is why I have all the different trades in here, guys. So let's assume they go down here and hit a divergence pivot stop out or a fib. It'll take another trade from there, which is what we want to see. So I'll put my ignore filter on. We don't have any filters, but this is where a fib / divergence pivot stop out trade should happen to the upside if it's going to happen. Kevin, my friend, how you doing, sir? So anyway, we're at the freaking death cusp of this thing. They're just not going to give it up. Oh well. Reboot. Check my DMs. Yeah, I've only got 5,000 DMs, 5,000 emails, and I got a bunch of them. But I can't do anything prop while I'm running the trading room. So when I'm done with this, we will catch back up on our prop toys. Right? You are the man, Kevin, without a doubt. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. All right, guys. So look, obviously, kind of a whole number, 29.6. Pivot stop out down at the bottom. Fib getting overrun a little bit, but we'll see if they have enough to take it out or not. They might. It is what it is. All right, so look what happened. We have a block in place, which I'm not going to ignore. So we have an outer band block. We've got a pivot stop out block over here, which says we're not going down anymore. So we have a close back above our fib support on our range chart, which says we're not going down anymore, which means what? We're probably going up. Discretionary long? Sure. Should I wait for a system signal? Maybe not. If I was doing a discretionary long, it would probably be right there. Just saying. If I was going to put some money at risk, that would be a one shot at it. I'm waiting for a signal. So we don't quite have what we need to go long yet. So, sometimes I see the potential of things happen a little early. If we go up, you guys know where we're going, right? So look, same pattern that we've had for the last 28 years. Fib resistance breaks. It turns into support. Didn't test it that time, but then it goes to resistance. And then it tests resistance a second time, and it goes to fib support. And if it breaks support, it goes to the next support. And then if support holds, we go to resistance. If resistance breaks, we pull back to support and go to resistance. Vice versa, we break below support and we retest. Look how many times we retested that Fibonacci resistance. So it's like ding, 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 sell, 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 sell. And where are we going? We already had called it early. We said we're going down here to fib support. We broke fib support to make it to the next one. And now they're duking it out down here to see if they're going to break support or hold support. And if they hold support, we're going to go right back up to resistance. Why do I say that? Because it's been 28 years I've seen it happen. So anyway, we'll see what happens. We have a little bit of work for our automated trading system to get on board with long signals, because our triggers are still down over here on the big chart. So I would imagine that'll change pretty quickly, but we don't want to trade against the trigger lines. It's one of the quickest ways to commit financial suicide, trading against triggers going against you. This is where your brain goes, I think we're going to hold here, but the triggers don't agree yet. So let me hang on for a second. And lo and behold, it didn't hold. All right. Second divergence at the outer band, which means what? We have filters that say it's not going short. So it's not going long and it's not going short, which means I'm going to go take a 2-minute break, grab myself a drink real quick. I want you guys, if you have anything question-wise, let's go through it. I think this has been a really good session just to hear what you guys have, questions and concerns that you guys have about the strategy. Obviously, we got a couple small things that we're going to touch up on it, but I really enjoy my time in here with you guys. Now, if the market will behave and do what I want it to do, that'll be the next best thing. Anyway, probably not for a minute. Hold down the Alt button, ALT, next to your space bar, and then up and down with the arrows. And you can make them fatter, you can make them skinnier. Got it? If that's what you want to do. I'm assuming that's what you want to do. I like to see the bars themselves, but that's just me. All right, 2-minute break, guys. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. Short signal off of fibs, hit a couple times. I kind of dig it. We do have one-to-ones and pivot stop outs here, which is never a bad place to take money in. And it also got us out. So squeezed out a couple duckies there. And I'm only trading 5 micros, guys, on this thing. So, 5 big contracts. I could be up $6,000 today on this thing and be pretty happy with it. But 5 micros is what we're doing. So not a lot of harm done. I also would like to say something. I've tested a lot on the MES, the micro S&P, and I don't like it. It tests out like shit. There's just no other way to say it. And I think the reason why is because the big boys that actually control the market, they don't trade micro S&Ps, guys. There's no big firm on the planet that goes, hey, let's trade a bunch of micro S&Ps today. The big boys put their volume in the bigger contracts, and the micro NASDAQ is so popular. I think it's an okay. Man, we're gonna have to ignore a filter here. Should we take one more short? I think we may have to take a short. So I'm gonna ignore my filter. Let's see if we can get this thing to go down. See, where are we going down to? Obviously, the prior low is the first place we're going to go, and then we'll see. So this is kind of discretionary where I turned off the filter. Because usually when you break a high volume line and you come back and test it, I kind of like that overall. May or may not go, but we're about to find out. The other thing is the large chart for this looks good. So reversal from the 1-to-1 took us out. I really like the look, but system said no, go, get out, and that's that. So anyway, I'll let the filters. Do we want to just ignore the filter and take a second chance? Looking at this chart, it's not a bad idea. If we make a second up bar here, we won't get a down arrow. So, I have a tendency to do this a lot. I like to look at where the high volume area is on the bar. And you can see that the majority of the volume is just right there at 29,600. So if we close below it, it'll probably go down a little more. If we close above it, we won't get a signal anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So that was basically a filtered trade that I decided to take, and obviously didn't work. Par for the course. Anyway, now remember what we said about fibs. We break through them, we retest them, which we're doing now. And then ultimately, if they hold, then cool. And if it was just a fake breakout, the old haha, let's go short, we're not really going short, we'll get back above this fib area and everything will roll back to the upside and we'll get some long trades. We'll see about that. I have my doubts yet, but we're starting to look like we're firming up a little bit here. All right, questions, comments, concerns, anything anybody wants to go through? Mm-hmm. All right, guys, everything is blue. The challenge is if we close back below this fib, it didn't break, so it's not going to give any signals. So here we wait for a minute. Small chart momentum is definitely up, obviously. It's got to work our way through 22 and yes, it is being recorded. 100%. All right, so we did break back above the fib. It was a fake out breakout. It happens. I'll take that loss every day. I don't care. Now, pull back for us, please, so we can get a long trade to get back up to Fibonacci resistance at 42, 43. Please. You always say please and thank you, but they don't always listen in the damn market, don't they? All right, so, oh man, it's going to go all the way up there without a darn signal in it. Oh, well. That is okay. Has it been educational at least to kind of understand the way the system works a little more? Hopefully. I mean, that was really the big purpose of what we're doing. Notice we had a smaller time frame fib here, and we closed, hit it, closed back below it, which puts up a block for us. So we have a small block from a fib, which means, when we get into the blocks down here, it means everything says up except one thing. You hit a fib. Now, if you've been with us for a while, you know that hitting a fib can many times make it come all the way back to the other fib. So if I had to guess, if we were going to come down a little deeper, I would say we come down into right there, 10 to 15, and then go finish the move off up to here, but we'll see about that. All right. And lo and behold, down to the fib, and we'll keep our filters on. You went short at the fib?
34.
34. All right. You are the woman. Hey, I need you to go look at your fill time for that last one so I can edit that out.
Yeah. You think?
Mm-hmm. It doesn't sound as good as it could. All right, so Fibonacci resistance makes it down to Fibonacci support. Crazy talk. You know what's going to happen now, right? So they're going to make a decision on whether they want to just hold support and run it back up to 4250. All the triggers being above this area suggest we're going to go back higher. But our triggers are against this, so it's not going to do a long trade. So we sit and wait, sit and wait, sit and wait, sit and wait. Are we discussing the live program? We are discussing next-gen software services, automated trading systems. This is what we're discussing. Market flow systems. We're discussing mostly this ProMatrix strategy today. That was the purpose. This is not the, this is, boss man, this is not the prop space. Wrong business for this room. This room is next-gen software services. Has nothing to do with prop space. Yep, no worries. I mean, hang out. I love it if you will. Hey, grab that. You'll love them. So, short version, what we're doing is we're running 5 micros on our automated trading system. And we're just kind of waiting for it to do signals. If you guys really want kind of a, it's not exactly what's in the system, but this is what we've taught. What we've taught for a long time. Copy link address. If you really want a good idea of what the market flow can do and things of that nature, watch that video right there. It's an awesome video that will go through everything. Man, I guess I should. All right, what do we have? Triggers down, some above the fib, some below the fib. Should go down. Well, I didn't turn it on. Anyway, this is what I get for unfocusing on my charts. You know, would I want to have overridden any types of filters? Anyway, now we've got more filters in place, so we'll wait for it to break out and get a good clean run where there's nothing in the way. All right, anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, things they want to go through? I'll be more than happy. I know it's kind of a ProMatrix day, so I just took the trend matrix off for now. All right, so everything says down. We did get to a little pivot stop out over here. You know, anytime you take out the low by a tick or two and it doesn't go, shorts are a little more difficult, but doesn't mean we won't have it. There's just no signal to be done there. I like that look for continuing down. If you watch that video, it's one of our one up, one down trades from a 1-to-1, but that's a discretionary trade, not a system trade. Mm-hmm. Starting to run out of anything to run into on this chart, aren't we? Just curious what the next bigger chart says. Looks like the next bigger chart has 60 as a fib. Anyway, just curious. Looks like it's going to make it to 60 at this pace. Again, guys, that was one of my favorite discretionary trades. A little one up with the triggers down right into our 1-to-1s. And usually when you get a one up, one down, they keep doing it all the way until you get to the target. So I would expect one up and then one down again. And then for us to get down to, on the other charts, this is the target area. Anyway, I'm going to put on ignore filter. Now, maybe it gets me for that. Maybe it doesn't. We'll find out. We're going to find out if it's a smart decision or not. Again, the nice thing is if we hit the outer band and do get rejected, it'll take us out of our trade. If not, the fibs on the other chart are at 60. So I figured let it go and let's see what happens. And again, this is the chart I was looking at, just to give you guys an idea of why I said let's just do it. There's nothing in the way. Ah, scratched it basically. Looks like I made a tick or two. This is where it goes up and it doesn't make another signal because there we go. All right, do we want to do it one more time if we get a signal? See if we get down to this fib down here at 60. Nope. No, sorry, Bob. So, all right. I'll let the filter. All right, you guys are a quiet bunch now. Other than me just talking. And you can see, look, we got below the pivot stop out. We retested it. I mean, under all things being equal, this is basically where it's going down to, and then we should get to 60 without even blinking. But that would be a discretionary trade on a white paint bar versus a system trade. Can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure. Give me a Y, somebody. One or two of you, anyway. Okay. I'm just making sure you're still alive. Anyway, this is one of my favorite discretionaries. I love this discretionary. Obviously, we're not here for discretionary today, but so what we're going to need in order to go short is we're going to.
That you wanted to have emailed you a couple times. He's in the Bahamas.
Greg's great, right?
Yeah, he's in the Bahamas and his kids are screaming bloody murder in the background.
Greg's?
Yes. And I'm like, oh my god, you need to go get a pina colada.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, so you're in a trend trade with the matrix. Okay, perfect. Well, it's going to 66 to 60, right? That's pretty much easy. Take a picture of it when you're done. Just show it. Should get to 66, down to 60. Are you on the 34.5 chart, Greg, or are you on a smaller chart? Out of curiosity. They're doing battle at the 66, but there's your 60. So that should be the bottom. Short. Technically, if you think Fibonacci areas are going to hold, then that's a potential bottom right there. So again, just, I don't have that big chart on this one, but I kind of cheated and looked at a third chart to give me that 60 level. Okay, cool. It's a great trade. I mean, it was down on every chart. Everything had room to all the fibs. Everything was perfect. So If the system did a short, it did the right thing. There's no doubt about that. It doesn't look like, again, this 60 area, sometimes they bounce around a few times at around a fib. They don't have to stop on the tick every time. If it stopped on the tick every time, I wouldn't be here. The king and queen would be waiting to call me, and I guess not the queen. Anyway, that's wrong. The king would be calling me, saying, what should I be doing now? So, again, horseshoes and hand grenades, guys. We get to fib level. We also get to an outer band filter. So between those two things, hitting a fib and an outer band filter, we don't want to do any more shorts. It may still go down. There's no reason for it. It can do whatever the heck it wants to do. The question is, do we want to go with it? So that would have been your short. Let's watch it and see what happens after the filters and the fibs. My guess is they go rip up through there really quick, but I could be wrong. I'm not going short into fibs and filters. One thing I haven't done yet is tested any of this ProMatrix on like minute charts, 30-second charts. The other stuff that we do, just like with the Trading View or the Ninja Trader space, that's just like Trading View. There's a few things that I want to work on. Just so you guys know, divergences obviously into the trend matrix. If that logic works out well, we'll bring it over here. Let me clean up my charts. The other thing that I want to, and somebody else emailed me about this yesterday about dynamic targets. There's a video in our user guide, and this video right here in this page, and it talks very, very, very specifically about one thing. It talks about, let me see where we're at. So we talk about where the price bars are in relationship to the triggers. Everybody remember that video? So if the price bars are below the triggers, the Renko bars, you have a much better chance of the market continuing. And then as they get inside and then on the wrong side, obviously that momentum starts to fade out. And again, this is where lots of momentum and then inside, and then the bars get below the small triggers, you start to lose that momentum. The thought process was, instead of having static targets, to do a dynamic target based on where the bar structure is relative to the triggers. Anyway, so that's what it says. I guess if I turned that thing off, it would have done okay, huh? On that short trade. Oh, can you hear it? Sorry, scare the crap out of you. We'll see. What is the next level? I don't even know. That's right. So I didn't realize you guys could hear it doing orders. It scare the crap out of you, make you look at your screen, huh? Everybody's like, oh shit. Okay. Now it recognized that the outer band was holding and took us out of our position with a little profit. So it actually did a pretty good job there. Right? Oh no, let me see. Hang on. Let me go to my volume mixer. Let me turn off my Ninja Trader. That should stop it. You're at 5K today with the strat? Right on. So let me ask you guys a question. We've got a little bit of time left. Obviously, we're kind of repeating ourselves over and over and over now. So I think you guys have seen the way it works, some of the dynamic exits, some of the things that, you know, the opportunities that it provides. I also appreciate everybody being here and taking the time to come see and what it's doing. And for those of you guys that do want the demo, just get your sales guy involved. Please don't email me saying give me a demo. Just it's better to deal with your salespeople so that way they can help out a little bit. I have got a couple things going on lately. Notice, look, we have blocks again. We have outer bands, divergence, pivot stop outs. We have weak triggers on the big chart. So these are all really good reasons. Remember how I said if the bars are above the triggers, it's not going to go down anymore. So, it took one more shot at it, but I wouldn't let it go again. Even if it goes down, I'm okay with it. I think my wife is short for disclosure. Anyway, she trades a little bit differently than this, which is totally cool. All right. What's going on in the news? I haven't watched news in about 3 months, so I'm assuming that's why the market's a little volatile. Iran news again? Yeah, I figured as much. All right, your first trade of the day, Greg. Let's take a peek. One-to-one level entry trade. Oh, that sucks. It got you out with higher divergence. Oh, but you stayed in, or you got out of some, but you got back in. I don't know. I can't see. I'm having a hard time. I see an exit down here, which is a good profitable exit, but looks like you had to re-enter again to get that rest of that money. But nice job on a re-entry. Everything set down and it went down. Crazy talk. Second trade. All right, here we go. Let's see what you got. Second trade. One-to-one level entry again and down to 48. We made that, didn't we? You got out the one-to-one on the second trade. All right. Nothing wrong with that at 40. So from 58 to 40, so what, 18 points, give or take, roughly. Nice trade. And I haven't run the trend trade system today because Mark does that every freaking day. He'll be back tomorrow. Somebody called him to Vegas for the weekend and he didn't make it out in time. So that's why I'm here today. But he'll be back tomorrow. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed again.
Oh, yeah.
Probably. Depends on how bad his friends hurt him. All right, guys. If you guys don't have any more questions, I mean, we can end the room. There's not a lot going on. After it gets after 12 o'clock, things get a little squirrely for an hour or two anyway. So I'm okay being done for the day. I have a few things I need to do out there. What? Okay, Dave, I'm wondering if you could use Claude along with maximum adverse excursion on a per trade basis to figure out best places for stops and targets. The answer is probably yes. What I would do, just if it was me, I would probably go into the trade by trade analysis on NinjaTrader. Yeah. Um, Starting with, just copy paste all the trades. So if you pull up the trades, Dave, you can right click and export them, and maybe that would be helpful. I don't know if that's going to get you. If you have a big stop, big target, obviously, and then you can look at the MAE, MFV, all the MFs. I think there's a good thought process to that, and then let Claude do his thing. So okay. And look, this is why we have such a great room, because like-minded people that we all after the same thing, and everybody can try. There's been a lot of different ideas thrown my way. I promise you that. So I'm glad to have everybody's input, and just like anything else, over the next month or two, this is going to get better and better as we go. So I appreciate everybody's time for being here. I'm going to put an end to the room for the day. I will post this recording in a couple hours on YouTube, so you guys can go check that out. And then if you guys have any questions or need anything in the meantime, please let me know. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, I know, Kevin, to check my DMs.
Kevin.
it's all on there. All right. You guys have a good one. Looks like they're not done selling. Have a great afternoon. I appreciate everybody being here, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow morning.